anybody name the tune? I learned it yesterday. Can anybody name it? Anybody? Nobody's gotten it yet. It goes, must you dance every dance with the same fortunate man? You have danced with him since the music began. Here it comes. Won't you change partners and dance with me? I'm still slow at it because I learned it yesterday. It's such a great song though. You've been locked in his arms ever since heaven knows when. Oh no, that's not the words. It's okay. Can't you see I'm longing to be in his place? Won't you change partners and dance with me? Sebastian, you finally got it after I gave it up. It's such a cool song. Irving Berlin wrote it, and I was listening to my friend Shane's new album yesterday, and he and his band called Splanky play that song. And I thought, oh my gosh, I know there's a Fred Astaire recording of this song that I love. So I went and looked it up. And yeah, there's a Fred Astaire recording that I absolutely love. And then Frank Sinatra recorded it on his Joe Beam album. Joe Beam didn't write it, Irving Berlin did, but it's on that album, and it's wonderful too as a bossa nova. And then I learned it from the two of them on my way to my gig last night. And then I started wondering if, since it's a pretty gender-specific song, I wondered if any female recording artists had done it. And so I looked and I found Ella Fitzgerald. So I wondered how she was going to change that opening lyric, because it's, must you dance every dance with the same fortunate man. And if you were to change that to girl, then this wouldn't rhyme. You have danced with him since the music began. And I think that would just ruin it. So I wondered if there was some kind of a fix that those artists had used. Bye, Miles.
Bye.
Love you. But Ella Fitzgerald didn't use any fix at all. She just sang it the way that it was written. And I thought that was cool of her, just to not care and sing it like it was written. I found a couple other people who changed it to girl, and then it just didn't rhyme with man, and I didn't think that was a good idea. So I don't know. Anyway, that's a really cool song. The interesting thing about it last night, I played it immediately when I got to my gig because I thought I might forget it, especially the lyrics, if I didn't play it right away. And so I nailed it. I played it great right at the beginning. And then I decided to play it in the last set because nobody was there that was the same from the first set, and I was just solo, and I forgot nearly all the lyrics. So it had been nearly 2 hours since I had played it, maybe almost 3 hours, and I couldn't remember a ton of the lyrics. So I always tell people, if you learn something brand new, go away from it for an hour and then come back, because that's enough time for your brain to kind of forget, but then not really forget. But I waited nearly 3 hours. That was enough time to completely forget. Anyway, let me answer questions. I said I wanted to answer questions today. And thanks for being here, too. I appreciate that. Anti-blog, you're my funny Valentine too. Thank you. Hello, Edward from the UK. Hola, Ushuaia, Argentina. And salud, back to you. People wanted to know if I'll collaborate with Rob Arajo, and I already have. Well, actually, we did on Jam of the Week. We made a collaboration one time. We did a tune together, and that was really fun. And then he came over here twice. He's been over here twice. And the second time, we played a nice piano duet, and I put it on my Instagram. I think there's 2 clips of it on my Instagram. And we worked on something else too, but it's secret, and you have to wait for it. Rob right now is on tour with Tom Misch, I think, and I think they played in LA last night. Anthony Martinez, thank you so much. And hello, Jean from Hungary. How to learn to sound like a famous singer so a tribute can be performed, like Patsy Cline. Oh, I don't think you ever have to learn how to sound like somebody unless you're going to play them in a movie, right? Like, I don't think you have to sound like Patsy Cline in order to do a tribute to Patsy Cline. In fact, Patsy Cline would probably appreciate more if you just sang her songs using the nuances you learned from her, but being yourself, I would imagine. What's my all-time favorite song? I don't think that I have one, but I really like The Nearness of You quite a bit. I think I usually say that one's my favorite. I don't know if it's true. It's probably not really, really true, but I do like that song a lot. What was the second chord in Change Partners? Well, you can think of it a few different ways, Evan. So I'm playing it in B flat because that's good for my voice. I'm sorry I'm not showing you my hands today. It's easier for me if I don't have to. So I think it's so cool that song starts on the 5th degree. Da da da. I think there's something powerful in that. And then it changes to the 6th degree. Da da da. And you can think of it a couple of ways. One way to think of it is that you've still got a B flat pedal and that you change to an A7 chord. Like, that's one way you can think of it. But I think the more common way to think of it is to think of it as a B flat diminished chord, fully diminished chord. So then you have B flat, D flat, E, and G, right? And then, so that also does look like an A7 chord, but with a flat 9, right? But if you, like, I have a trick that you can, I have a video about this, on diminished chords that you can play. You can take any one of those tones and play a whole step above it along with those 4 tones, and they sound fantastic. So here are my notes. I've got my B flat and my D flat and actually I'm spelling that wrong. It's okay. B flat, D flat, E, G. I'll be consistent. And then, so if you raise the B flat to a C and you play that along with those 4 notes, it sounds like this. And it gives it a really nice rub in there, a little dissonance, but also fullness, I think. And then you can do the exact same thing with any note in the chord. So if you do it to the D flat and you raise it to an E flat, then you get this sound. And if you do it to the E, then you get this sound. If you do it to the G, then you get this sound. And they all sound really good. So that's the answer. It's a B flat diminished chord. And I would go ahead and add one of those color notes to it. My video, Do You Even Melody, sparked a long discussion at work yesterday. I'm glad. I think some good discussions have come out of that video. I haven't rewatched the video ever, but sometimes people say, like, why are you so mad, bruh? And I think maybe I was a little bit, like, irked when I made the video, or just frustrated, and it came through too much. So I don't know. I kind of wish I could go back and make the video and not be upset so much, but whatever. I was a little upset. I'm glad it sparked good discussion. I think the nicest, like the best compliments I can get from those videos are when people say, gosh, I didn't realize that I couldn't do that. I'm going to go back and practice those things. Thank you. Like, that's my favorite. Hello, Zlata from Moldova. Let's see. Oh, somebody said happy birthday. It is my birthday in a couple of days. So that's so nice. Thank you. And hello, Bermuda. BP. Nice to see you, Bermuda. Do I have a video on my blog that shows how to play chords with extensions, 9 and 13, etc.? All my videos somewhere are on my website. I've got a wonderful friend that runs my website named Marco, and I just let him choose whatever ones he wants to promote. Like almost every day he promotes a different one. But so I guess it is a blog in a way, but on my YouTube channel, anything that you want to find, so if you want to find voicings and extensions, just use the search bar and you'll find it. But yeah, I have comping videos that tell you about extensions. Let's see. I see a super chat. What happens if let's see. Hold on, let me skip ahead to that. That's from Chris Garner. He just says happy birthday. Thanks, Chris Garner. I appreciate that. How did falling snow come about? I think I totally explained that, Chris, in my video about falling snow, don't I? I can't remember. Somewhere I made a video and I explained it, but it came about because I thought of the melody. I don't know why I thought of it. I just thought of it. That came right away, and so did the next part. And it rarely happens to me that happens. And I just remember thinking, that's really pretty. It sounds like a movie theme. It's pretty strong melody. But I thought it'd get boring if all I did was play a 2-5 in C and a 2-5 in A minor. So I set out to make it more interesting. And that's how the rest of the song followed. And then I tried forever to put lyrics to it. Really long time. Probably 2 years I tried to put lyrics to it. Every time I would come back to it, I was trying to make it a tragic love song. That's what I heard about it. And it never worked. I could never fit lyrics to it. Like, it just always was horrible. And then Miles went away to school, and I don't know why I thought, I had that opening line. I watch you walk away, or I watch you as you go. Both, I battled between those two. Your footprints fill with snow, and icy silence falls upon my troubled heart. John actually helped me with that first lyric. I remember he sat over there on the couch one day and was scribbling. He's great at lyrics, but he's very precise and picky. So I've kind of learned my lesson. If I ever write lyrics to something, I don't ask him what he thinks of them anymore because he always has something to say, and I'm always like, crap, I thought I was done. But he never will tell me unless I really ask him. But anyway, he came up with that first line with me, and mostly probably him. And then I thought, it doesn't have to be somebody that you have feelings for or whatever walking away. It could be somebody else. And then I just thought about Miles because he just went to school. And then the lyrics just poured out of me. And I was driving to Arizona that late one night with my kids in the car asleep, and I had it written by the time I got to Arizona. I remember I laid down in bed at about 3 a.m. and spoke it all into my phone, and then there it was. Hi, Adrian from England. Hello, Higher Verstone from India. How about that? Do I have any interest in modular synths? I only have the kind of interest in mod synths that makes me watch Andrew Wong's videos and marvel at him. But no, I don't see myself getting into that or going down that rabbit hole. I think it could take up all my time. But maybe, you never know, maybe. Tips for improvising on a single chord without it being boring and horrible. You should watch my video from 2 videos ago. It's called the one chord. What's it called? How to play over the one chord? That's it. It's just, yeah. But here's another idea for you, Juliana. Yesterday I went surfing yesterday, and my whole way home from the beach, it was traffic, took like an hour and a half. I listened to Surreal Aimee's entire live album from 2018, which I've heard is being voted on for Grammy nominations. Super awesome. It's well deserved. There are many sections at least 3, I think, in that CD, in that album, where she improvises over very boring chords, like maybe a vamp, like a 2/5 vamp, or just one chord, and she comes up with so many ideas. So the idea that just comes to my head right now is to listen to her and then learn a bunch of those. I think that's how I got good at it, was listening to people play over one chord. You can listen to everybody who's ever played over So What or Impressions. Any modal tune that doesn't change chords forever. You got to come up with a lot of ideas. Any advice for a classical singer interested in learning jazz? Listen to jazz. You have to understand the vocabulary before you can start to copy it. So first step is to listen to jazz. And then decide what you like and what you'd like to do in particular, like set a goal. And then you should get some lessons. You've got a festival in your city of Belgrade next week. That's wonderful. Oh, my channel is your favorite preparation? That's amazing. Thank you. What's my favorite jazz festival? Well, I actually haven't traveled outside of the country very much, just due to the fact that I still have kids living at home, and so I haven't let myself travel a lot, so I've never been to any of the big festivals. I hope to do that someday. I've got favorite festivals in the States, but I'm sure that if I had ever been to Montreux or Newport, or, I would say those festivals. What are some turnarounds that you like to use for Joy Spring? I don't know about that. Let me think. You mean on the part that goes, let's see. I gotta get myself in that key. That part? That part? Is that what you mean? I don't know. I've never messed around with that. I'm not even sure that that's the part that you mean. But good question. And if you want to email me and ask me like more specifically where in the form you mean for your turnarounds, I could think about it a little bit. When I play a solo, what am I thinking about? I have a video called "What Do You Think About When You Improvise?" You should totally watch that video. I think I really get into the nitty-gritty of that in that video. It's kind of the nice thing about having a YouTube channel. Maybe it's not nice for you right now, but sometimes I've already talked about something and said like all I have to say about it, and I can just say, go watch that video. What's my advice for someone looking to be a professional musician? That's a pretty broad question. I think I can't answer that because I don't know what kind of musician you want to be. When you learn a song on the piano, should you learn the chords on the left hand first or the melody? You should listen. You should listen to the song as much as you can. You should listen to like 10 different versions of the song at least, and then you will know the melody, and you might know the chords too, depending on your level. Like I didn't even have to think about the chords last night when I learned Change Partners. I just listened to it a whole lot of times, and then when I sat down at the piano, they were kind of there. But I do think that I know I have a whole video about throwing away your real book, and I think that there's a lot of, like one thing I wish I would have said in that video was that there is merit and value in taking a fake book or a real book and playing through some songs that you'd like to learn. I wouldn't have learned many of the standards that I learned at an early age in my teens if I didn't do that, because I couldn't afford recordings back then. So I learned a lot from the real book, and I'm thankful for it. But back then when I learned, maybe I would play, I don't know, Pennies from Heaven. Actually, I've never seen that in the real book, but let's see, that one goes. When I would play that, of course, I didn't know how to play rootless voicings back then. So a lot of times I think I would just play the root with my left hand. And actually, I'd probably play the whole chord. So if it's C major 7, I would probably just play it in root position. And the melody, and then I'd go up to the next chord. And even though that sounds really corny, it taught me those melodies and how the chords sounded. If I could go back and teach my 16 or 17-year-old self how to do that, I would say, good, play the root, play the melody, but in the middle, with this part of your hand, play the thirds and sevens where you can. Every time there's a new chord, thirds and sevens. Sometimes the third will be on the top, sometimes the seven will be on the top, and they will all the time give way to each other. That's important information to know. But yeah, I think just learning songs, no harm at all in just going through the real book, a fake book, and picking ones that you think look beautiful to you, especially if you're a good reader. Can I elaborate on the ability to play the sounds that you hear and feel in time? Not just notes, but the sound, your take. It's a good idea to learn to play different sounds. I think that some of my videos, I tell you how to play different feels. So I know I've got a video describing how I play San Francisco Bay Blues, where I go to give you. Sometimes I feel that, right? Sometimes I feel like a lazy cowboy. That's what that feels like to me. So if you watch that video, you've learned the lazy cowboy. Congratulations. And then I also have a video about how to play a way to play just the two of us, where I play like a funky kind of groove, right? So if you learn how to play that, then if you're ever feeling funky, you can bust out that groove. I think I have quite a few videos. Killing Me Softly with this kind of vibe, right? That gives you like melancholy right away. So, as a player, you kind of pick up on these things as you go along. I do think it's helpful to be shown them, which is why I made some videos like that. So if you've got some of these tools in your belt, you can draw from them. And I think after you get enough tools in your belt, you can combine them together in ways that create new sounds, new feels, and just mess around. There's so much to be said for just sitting at your instrument and trying things, right? Like I remember when I was a kid and I discovered the difference between fourths and fifths. If you stack fourths on the piano, say you start on a D and you play a G and a C and an F and a B flat and an E flat and an A flat and a D flat and a G flat, all the way up, that's tension, that's scary, it's dark. And I know Jacob Collier talks about this too. I think he might have had the same kind of magic moments when he discovered that kind of thing. And then you change to fifths and you play fifths. And all of a sudden there's light and brightness and happiness. And so if you just, if you can even take mathematics and look at things, you can come up with any little idea. What happens if I take a major second and then a major third and then another major second and a major third? What happens if I take a minor third and then a perfect fourth and then a minor? You make little patterns like you might if you were taking blocks when you're a kid and learning how to do patterns. You can discover all sorts of things and moods and sounds, but then you've got to remember them so that you can recall them. The more time spent on your instrument discovering, the better. Good questions, everybody. Do some of the most creative ideas come to you when you're exhausted? No, I don't think so. I was just talking about this with my friend Shane yesterday, saying that sometimes he was telling me that he's got trouble falling asleep and shutting his brain off, and I get that same trouble. I think it might be common to musicians, but I'm not sure. Like my husband and my daughter, they can fall asleep at the drop of a hat just anytime they want to, in any position. They can just fall asleep. But I have to consciously shut off, and that can be hard. But anyway, I do think I think about things when I'm exhausted, but they're never any good. I have to remind myself of that. Quit, Aimee. It's not a good time for this. But when I when I don't have anything else to think about, if I'm driving, I think a lot of ideas come to me when I'm driving, and also when I'm walking. And I am getting better at running. I know I made a video about how it was hard for me to think while I was running, but it's getting easier. So that's good. I am able to do some thinking while I run. Sometimes you watch my videos to get inspired or to push on. Oh, I'm so glad, Perry. Thanks for telling me that. I watch other people's videos to get inspired when I need that, forge ahead kind of thing. Like I listened to many albums yesterday of people who, like my friends who have new albums and stuff, just because sometimes you need new ideas. I'm glad we're all here for each other like that. Hi, Russia. I don't know how to say your name. I don't know how to say your name. Hakana, something like that. But I'm sorry you've had snow already, but that's kind of beautiful, right? It can be frustrating for going about your day. I know that. Do I have any experience arranging for big band? Not very much, Kevin. Some, but I don't call that one of my strengths. I like to arrange for small groups, sextets, and up to octet maybe, but I don't have much experience with big bands. I do have a friend. I have several friends who do have that experience. One of my friends, I usually give my students or people who ask about big band arranging, I pass them on to my friend Gerhard Guter, Gerhardguter. Gerhard lives in Long Beach, and he's a great arranger. Let's see. Hello, Nikosilathi from Zimbabwe. Thanks for saying hello. Do I have any recommendations for jazz standards or ballads that go well with Hammond organ? I think nearly anything can if it's performed in the right way. That's a video I need to make. Like, don't lock yourself into one style for one song. Like, sometimes I'll go to colleges to give a talk and ask for volunteers if they'd like to, perform something. And a lot of times people just hand me Fly Me to the Moon and say, all right, I'm singing Fly Me to the Moon. Can you play an intro? And then I have to say, well, how are you doing it? Is it in 4? Is it in 3? Does it swing? Is it a bossa nova? Is it a samba? How are you doing it? And they look at me like I'm crazy. Like, they're like, I don't know. It's Fly Me to the Moon. So don't lock yourself into the idea that one song can only be played in one style. You can do anything with one song. And so if you don't think that a particular standard lends itself to organ, it does. You just haven't found the right groove yet, I think. I hope that helps. Wayne Smith, you sometimes the feed, I know I'm far behind in the feed. I'm just trying to get to everybody, but sometimes it skips ahead and then I lose my place. That just happened with Wayne Smith. There it is. You have some nice video, but I should read these before I say them out loud. Is there any way I could slow down the fingering? Oh, well, Wayne, you can slow it down yourself on YouTube. There's just in the settings, there's a little thing where you can slow it down to like 3/4 time or half time. I sound drunk if you do that, but other than that, it doesn't change the pitch. So it's a really good option. Let's see. Would I move to Devonshire and live with a hobbit? I would definitely consider it, Frodo. Thanks for asking. Hello, Denmark. Yes, I do have a birthday coming up. Joyce, thanks for wishing me happy birthday. How many keyboard instruments do I possess? Just 2, I think. Unless I count my son Miles' stuff, but I don't ever use his stuff. He uses my stuff. But I just have my Korg and my piano. Oh, no, that's not true. I've got my 73 suitcase Fender Rhodes. It's back in my daughter's room, and I don't often pull that out for videos because there's not good lighting in that room, but I do absolutely adore my Fender Rhodes. So 3, I guess that's it. Who's my favorite jazz guitarist? I don't know. I mean, I might have to just say Django Reinhardt because he's got such a special place in my heart. His music can do so much for me. I absolutely love Django Reinhardt. Maybe that's the answer. But I love so many jazz guitarists. Jimmy Rainey is one of my favorites as well. What are some good songs I can play with my friends to get into playing jazz? We're rather amateur, so we struggle a lot with songs that depend on soloing too much. You should play the blues. You should play different blueses. So, get the iReal Pro app, and there's a bunch of blueses there that you can learn from. You can learn what is a standard blues form, and then don't just play regular old blues, play minor blueses too. So like Mr. PC is a really good, that's a really good tune to start with. I've got a 14-year-old student right now that actually comes to my house. I don't have that many students that actually come over here, but I've just had her working on minor blues for the last month and a half and nothing else, and listening to minor blues and transcribing minor blues, and she came to the lesson thinking that she was going to show me what she transcribed and who she listened to. I knew she would come thinking that. I just said, all right, I'm going to play you a bass line. Let's hear you solo. And she was like, I haven't practiced that. And I said, it's okay, do it anyway. And she amazed herself and me with the ideas that flowed out of her body after listening to minor blues for a month. It was the coolest moment. Her dad came back to pick her up, and I said, watch this. And we just started playing, and he was confused, and he came over to the piano to look over to see what she was reading. He thought that she was reading a transcription or playing an exercise I had written for her or something. And anyway, he was just blown away that those were her ideas. Ah! My mom's calling! I'm just going to answer it because it's my mom. I'm sorry. Hey, Mama, I'm doing a live YouTube right now, so you're on the air, but I'll call you back. All right, love you. Bye. My mama. Yeah, so immerse yourself in the blues. Don't lock yourself into blues scale. Don't do that. I don't like that. I don't like it when teachers only teach kids to play the blues scale. I mean, sometimes you have to, I guess, if you're in a high school jazz band or middle school jazz band or something. But I didn't do that for my student that I was just telling you about at all. I've never even taught her that there's such thing as a blues scale. Blues, blues, blues. Then rhythm changes, rhythm changes, rhythm changes. And modal tunes. Play a Maiden Voyage, play So What. I know everybody plays like Watermelon Man and I don't even know some of those tunes that always get called because I just don't play them too much. But anyway, I like Watermelon Man. But I don't know. Stick with Mr. PC for a month. See how you do. Let me see. Do I ever look back at my old work in your notes for inspiration and ideas today? Oh, thank you for the super chat. I'll get to that in a second. Sometimes I look back at my old work, like on YouTube, to remember what I've done. Like, I think I've made, I don't know how many, over 300 videos. So sometimes I forget what I've done. And people ask me a question about it, and I have to go back and say, oh, I shouldn't have said that, but I don't think that's what you're asking. I think you're asking if I look back at things that I've already created to inspire myself. No. Sometimes I'll look back. I keep a lot of notes in my voice memos on my phone for ideas that I have when I don't have anything to write with. I actually did that yesterday. I went and listened to some old ideas that I had to see if there was anything I'm neglecting that I want to put on this new album. Do I still play my Rhodes? Yeah, I play my Rhodes. I sit down and play it often. Do I ever look... Oh, no, let's see. What I suggest as a way to practice comping while you're playing alone. You need to put on a bass line. You need to use that iReal Pro app and turn off the keyboard. You can go into the settings and turn off the keyboard and just play with bass and drums. That way, and you can turn it down as slow as you want to. I recommend that to people all the time. Then whatever you're on, practice. If it's just thirds and sevens with your left hand, practice thirds and sevens with your left hand. If it's third, 7, and 9, you're adding the 9, go ahead and do that. But slowly and with, it's a fun metronome, you know? It's better than just putting on your... Oh, I'm glad the piano sounds nice, Matthias. Thanks for asking. Or thanks for saying that. What do I do if I screw up or get lost on stage? Anything to never let people know that I screwed up or got lost. I know that when I screw up in front of you guys in a live, I usually call myself out because a lot of you are very smart and you know that I screwed up. But I never, ever would do that live. So if I mess up, it depends on the situation, I guess. If I don't think I ever completely forget the chords. Sometimes I'll forget a chord, and then I remind myself, well, what's the melody here, right? And if nothing else, I can revert to the melody, even if I'm improvising, and play the melody for a second, and the chords always come back. Yeah. The melody can always save you, I guess. That's the answer to that. In a video where you explain chord melody without walking bass line. Oh, is there a video? Chord melody. You must be a guitar player. You're the only people that say that phrase, chord melody. Let me think about that. Misty, I do have a video about playing standards with thirds and sevens. I think maybe also Bluesette is a video like that. And I have a reharm video. It helps with that. No, it might be a good idea for a video. Thanks, Igor. Did I get a gig on the International Space Station? Yeah, I wish that I did. I want to go see that movie First Man. Doesn't that look good? I like space stuff. Thoughts on exploring all the modes in all keys before learning to play songs? No, I would never do that. You're thinking about it backwards. Take songs to learn concepts. That's why when I taught how to play a song with roots and thirds and sevens and melody as a solo piano player, I used Misty, because I don't just want to teach you the concept without somewhere fun to put it. Now, some people get mad at me because I did finish Misty, but I know that sometimes when I start teaching a concept, I don't finish the actual song I'm talking about. It's on purpose. I don't want to spoon feed you. I want to teach you the concept and let you go for it yourself and be able to apply it in all situations. Let me see. That question was from Gabish. I'm going to skip ahead to the super chats so that I reward people for paying me. And then I'll go back to that. For your studio, this is from Rick Hausa. For your studio and live performance vocal work, which mics do you like the most and why? This is the nicest mic I own from Earthworks. It's the SV33, and I think it sounds great. I have used it in my new album, and I've also not used it when my engineer thought he could get a really nice mix from a couple different mics that he had, and so he did some of that, and he also used this one to see. He likes to take a mix from a couple different microphones. You can actually look at my Falling Snow video, the official music video, where I've got clips from all of the live stuff, the recordings in the studio. David Peters is my engineer, and he commented on it about why he likes the mics that he likes. I know that he used some vintage Neumann that I can't remember the model number, and he also used like an RCA ribbon mic from the 50s that's amazing. But for me, I don't know that much about microphones, and I'm just thankful for this one because I think it sounds dynamite, and it's nice and expensive. So yeah, I'm just happy to have it. I think it captures a lot of depth in my voice, which is cool. Thanks, Mackie, for your super chat and for telling me that you hope the album's coming along nicely. I'm going to go forward now from Mackie. So if you asked a question a long time ago and I didn't get to it, ask it again. I'll see it. how do I balance my hectic life of having my mom call and YouTube live streaming? I guess that was a little example of how my life gets pretty hectic. That was an easy example, though. I guess you got to prioritize. That's the hardest thing for me since I started YouTube. Maybe it's been the hardest thing as a musician in general, is to prioritize. And it's different. The answers are different there for everybody. You have to. My mom says my hair looks amazing. Thank you, Mom. You got to figure out what's most important. And for me, it's first husband, second family. So I know that if my relationship with my husband is suffering, every part of my life will suffer. So I try not to let that happen. And then I know also that my job in bringing up my kids is like the dearest thing to me. So I have to be careful about this and about spending too much time away from them. I've only got 6 more years until Louis is out of the house. He's my youngest. And so for those 6 years, I plan to keep doing what I'm doing. And if I can add a couple more things or whatever, that's fine. But I'm not probably going to take like 2-week-long trips to Europe or plan a tour or anything for 6 more years. Now, John does always say that if I can make more money than him and go do that, he'll stay home with the kids. That's just because he's a good guy. But, we'll see, whatever. But anyway, if your mom calls, I could have ignored my mom, right? But I didn't want to. So you just kind of got to listen to your heart in all the things that you're juggling. Do I have perfect pitch? I've got a whole video about that, Jay. It's called Developing Perfect Pitch. The answer is no. Did I see the movie Gravity with Sandra Bullock? Yes, I did. I love that movie. And recently I rewatched The Martian with Matt Damon. That was a really good movie too. I love Apollo 13. I love all movies about space exploration. Last night, John and I went to see a movie. It was called The Old Man with the Gun. It's a Robert Redford movie. Mom, Robert Redford. He still looks pretty good, and he's probably 80. That was a really good movie. And Sissy Spacek is in that movie. That was really cool to see her, too. I like that movie. And there were some cool old nods to, like, The Sting and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, because he plays bad guys. And, it was a cool movie. You guys should see it. My series on scatting helps you win an audition for a professional military band. That's amazing. You see, I'm classically trained, but watched your videos, and now I have a job singing in a jazz compo. I'm so happy for you, Betando. Thanks for sharing that with me. That makes me really happy. What's your best way to transpose a piano piece to saxophone, for example? Well, I mean, there's Sibelius and Finale, right? Like you can do that at a drop of a hat. I always say that, drop of a hat, don't I? At the snap of two fingers. It doesn't sound good. You can also do it in iReal Pro, right? All you have to do is just a couple of taps, and you've got it transposed. Do you mean when you're at a gig and you see a chart in concert key and you have to put it in E flat for your saxophone? Is that what you mean? Or B flat? That's tricky. I have to do it sometimes too. Like sometimes somebody will hand me a chart that's not in my key. If you have a second and a pencil, I mean, if it just takes a minute, if you can just write above it, write all your changes, then you're not going to have to worry about it. So that's number 1 answer. Number 2 answer is just a little bit of math, right? If it's a minor third away, you just have to tell yourself at every chord, and you have to be thinking of the next chord halfway through the previous measure, what comes next. If you know the tune, fairly well, sometimes your ear can help you out, but if you don't know it, you've got to be doing math in your head all the time. Linda wants to know what my favorite standards are. I think probably, I don't know, maybe my favorite standard is If I Should Lose You. Right now, anyway, I love to play that one. When I had a piano and played, I was accused of playing a radio and the sound was too loud. Is that a compliment? I don't know, Cheryl. I don't really know what that means. Uh, yeah, I don't know if that's a compliment. Sorry. Anyone know? Oh, that's a question for anyone. Let's see. You wanted to say, oh, where did that go? Please see your super chat. VVJ, did you do a super chat? Did I miss it? Absolutely, I did. You're requesting a song. Let's Fall in Love. Harold Arlen, not Cole Porter. There's 2 different Let's Fall in Love songs? I didn't know that. VVJ, is it... I mean, the only one I know is... Is that not the one you mean? Gosh, you got me curious now. But if I look it up and play it, I think my video will get demonetized, won't it? Let's see, I'm skipping back a little bit. And thank you, VVJ, for the super chat, too. No, I've never heard of Austin Peralta. Should I check him out? Let's see. Thanks for the nice compliment, Sensa Sean Duran. I appreciate that. Any piece of music that I was surprised that I liked and my reasons, Frank Man? I don't know. That's kind of hard question to think of on the spot. Like, I didn't think I was going to like it, and then I did like it. I'm afraid I can't. Nothing comes to mind. I'm sure it's happened. How do I think about 3-note clusters and their inversions? I don't know, David. I think I have to know about why you're using the 3-note clusters. What's your purpose? What's my opinion on arranger keyboards? I don't even know what that is, John Devlin. I've never even heard of that. Probably shows some ignorance on my part. Do you know or use the augmented scale? You know, I know a super bunch of scales, I guess, but I try not to think of scales when I'm improvising. Yeah, but I definitely use ideas from the augmented scale. Working on triad inversions. Oh, after your last lesson. Thanks, John. That's great. I'm glad. Yeah, If I Should Lose You is a great tune. I love to listen to the Keith Jarrett recording. I forget where they were live. But you can look it up on YouTube, live Keith Jarrett trio, If I Should Lose You, and listen to it. It is so swinging. Oh, the other one. Oh, so wait. Christopher Moody says, apple trees do it, bees do it, even something fleas do it. You don't mean that one. That's the one that Cole Porter wrote, for sure. Right, there are 2 Let's Fall in Loves. I like the other one. I love to listen to, there's a documentary of Anita O'Day on YouTube. Everybody should watch it. It's fascinating. She sings Let's Fall in Love all the time on that. I think that must have been one of her favorite tunes to improvise over. I like to listen to her on that tune because she just straight up messes with it all the time. How's it go? Good key. What would it be? E flat, maybe? Let's fall in love. Why shouldn't we fall in love? Our hearts are made of it. Let's take a chance. Why be afraid? I'm afraid of it. Let's close our eyes and make our own paradise. Little we know that still we can try to make a go of it. We might have been meant for each other. Where's that? We might have been meant for each other. To be or not to be, let our hearts discover. There are more changes in there. I didn't get them right. That's a cool song. I think I need to learn it better. Everyone agrees. Have I ever thought of playing other keyboard instruments like the Hammond? Oh, I think I already talked about that, Midnight. You're going to have to scroll back. Let's see. Would I consider doing a video about Dave McKenna's style? You know, I haven't checked out Dave McKenna very much. that's somebody for me to listen to today. Thank you for that. What's your songwriting process? Do I have tips for newbies when it comes to writing music? I think that's so hard. I don't know that I'm qualified to give good songwriting advice. But keep your phone with you, or pencil and paper, and write down every little idea that you ever have, because it could turn into something good. Maybe that's my first advice. My second advice for me is not to push it. If I only write 16 bars of a song and I can't go anywhere else with it, I'll go away from it for a while and then come back and try again. I want it to be natural and organic. I don't want it to be pushed. I got some great advice. I haven't made a video about it yet because it's not my idea. But John Clayton gave me advice that he got. I think he got it from Johnny Mercer. About if you... I guess John had written a song and he showed it to Johnny Mercer. And Johnny said, "Did you write this while you were sitting at the piano?" And John goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "I can tell." So I just think this is one of the best pieces of advice I've ever heard. So anyway, John Clayton told me that he tries to write not at the piano anymore because he doesn't want to get ideas from an instrument. He wants to get ideas from himself. If you're at your instrument, it can be a crutch, and you can get ideas that never would have come from you. They just come from pressing buttons. So I like that advice a lot. Maybe I'll stop my advice right there. Bright asks what the best step he or she can take to improve their jazz playing. I can't answer that because I don't know how good you are. I don't know what your level is. So, if I talk about something that you don't understand, that's probably the thing that you need to tackle next. Would you please do your approach on Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong? Well, I would like to say again that I can have 10 different approaches on What a Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong. So I do shy away from making videos where I show people how to play a song. And I'm going to even shy away from that more as I proceed with my YouTube channel, because I'm ruining people by showing them how to play one song. I just realized it this week. It's awful. I had a real life student that said, "I learned to do Your Baby Just Cares for Me, watch." And then he showed me. I'm like, cool. And then he said, I learned how to do Just the Two of Us. And then he played it. It's just exactly what I showed in my video. And then he said, "Oh, and I really like your this one and that one." I've only done it maybe with 5 or 6 videos where I take you through a whole tune and show you exactly what to play. But people think that that's the only way to play those tunes. And look at me, I'm getting heated again, aren't I? It's not. I don't want to do that for you. And I don't know if that's what you meant, Miroslav, when you asked me to play my approach on Wonderful World. But so if it's not, I'm not mad at you. But it's I don't want to spoon feed you. I will teach you concepts that I know. I'll run out of them someday, I suppose. But I do not want you to learn one of those songs all the way through and then never, ever use it on another song. It's like my worst nightmare about my YouTube channel, I suppose. Even more than if all my videos got demonetized. I don't want you to put yourself in that kind of a box. Please don't do that. If you're learning those kind of things from me, please try to take another song and apply the exact same thing to that song. That's how you grow as a player. If you just learned the one song that I taught you, you're trapped. Okay, off the soapbox. You have a Cole Porter lyrics question. There are lots of variations. Some of them are very rude. I don't know what your question is, but Cole Porter was kind of a rude dude sometimes, I think. Let's see. One person telling me my voice isn't loud enough. If you agree, type the letter A. If you don't agree, type the letter B. How about that? Tips on how to be a good band leader. Be a nice person. Be humble. Be humble. Yeah, there's nothing worse than a band leader who thinks that they're the be-all, end-all of everything, doesn't take suggestions, won't answer questions, gets offended if you, like, don't get offended. But also, you got to know how to take charge, too. Like, say I come into a situation, happens quite a bit, where I go to, like, a festival or some kind of weekend where a college wants me to teach for a day and then play a concert that night, and I've got 2 hours to rehearse with a band, people that I've never met before. In that situation, I'll, say hello to them, shoot the breeze for a second so that we just get a feel for each other, just for a second, maybe 5-10 minutes, and then I'm in charge, right? So, and if they've got questions, I give all my attention to their question. If they're not playing the way that I want them to play, I don't have any qualms about saying whatever it is. Drummer, I gotta have you use brushes on this song, or make sure not to overplay. Don't play so many fills. It's always at the drummer. No, I'm just kidding. It's not. A lot of times it's at the guitar player, right? Like piano and guitar, we've got to communicate really well in order to get along on stage. So a lot of times I'll have my pencil and I'll make sure that he or she has their pencil, and I'll say, you don't comp during this song on the solos, I will, or vice versa. I think a good balance of being humble and attentive to people and knowing that you're in charge. It's a difficult line to walk. I'm learning about it all the time. So, good question. Piano, let's see. People learn stuff so they can have something to show off to people. Yeah, that's exactly right. So that when they tell them they play an instrument, especially when they are beginners, don't be discouraged to teach people songs. You're right, Christopher, they do. But I'm finding that it's all they want. So if you've gotten yourself into the trap of going on YouTube and learning how to play a song until you've got it, and then you're good, but you never take the information that you learned from that song to apply it to other parts of your playing, I think you're trapped. And I think you're in trouble. You're in trouble if you want to get better. You're in trouble if you ever want to get a gig. You're not in trouble if you're just playing for yourself, or for anybody that might have ever come over and you want to show them that you can play the piano. And if it's what makes you happy, then good point. Moody, Christopher, good point. Some people are content with that, and if that's you, more power to you, and I'm not frustrated with you. If you want to progress and have those goals that I talked about, then you've got to take your concepts and put them other places. It's very no, the vote is that my microphone is loud enough. Thank you for your votes, everybody. But there are some A's. Let's boost it a tiny bit. Where is it? Here. Okay, there's a tiny bit. We'll see. I think I've probably been doing this long enough because I haven't eaten. My stomach's growling. I'll take a couple more questions. You guys have some good ones, and I know you've been patient. If playing over a blues only with blues scale, wouldn't your first choice for a beginner intermediate student, would you prefer to approach it with arpeggios and chord tones? No, Dizzy. Good question. I wouldn't. I would honestly make my student listen to the blues for a month, and I would give them specific recordings to listen to and let it sink in and then see what comes out. I much prefer that approach. If you're not willing to put in the time to listen, then I don't think you're willing to put in the time to be a good player. If all you want is to play, is to have something to play, It's not enough. Listening is like at least like 60% of being a jazz player. I think being an any kind of player, you've got to listen to the genre in which you're trying to grow. So, sorry, Andrew, I'm not picking on you drummers. You're the best. But I don't like to give arpeggios, especially for the blues. It's like the anti-blues. Like, what blues player would ever play blues arpeggios? I don't know. Maybe some people would, right? I guess so. I can't say that definitively, but even if you're just playing the blues, like in C, right? You've got these chords going by. I'd rather you just play a single note and mean it than play 10 arpeggios. Ooh. Right? Ooh. That means more to me than... Right? Like, what are you going to do with that? I don't know. It doesn't mean anything to me. It can improve your chops. And if you're to that point, go ahead. We've got to improve our chops sometimes. Sorry, I turned my phone to silent. But, gosh, just let them find notes. Let them find notes that sound good. And my student, when she was over here playing over PC, right, she'd be playing... really easy lines. And I'd say, great, those are all good notes, keep going. Oops. And she'd do like that, and I'd say, what was wrong? And she'd say, F sharp. Yeah, F sharp over the F minor chords, probably no bueno. She'd be like, okay, and then she'd avoid it. Right? If you let somebody just come up with the simple ideas that are already in their soul, but tell them, if they play a wrong note, talk about it a little bit. Be like, why didn't the F sharp work? Well, gosh, it's the sharp one of the chord that you're on. So even if, like, people who have been taught the blues scale will do that sometimes because that's the blues scale. But if they know that F sharp is one of the notes in the blues scale, or G flat, they might try it over that F minor chord, and they'll get into all sorts of trouble just because they think those are the only notes that they can play. If you never teach them that that's the case, they're more likely to play more beautiful ideas, I think. You're an advanced player. Oh, Miro, you asked another question. You were wondering what you would do to reharmonize. You've done nice reharmonizations on other tunes, and they were awesome. Oh, just mess around with it. You just got to mess around. Everybody doing the mess around, Miro Sla. Don't lock yourself into the idea that you need to learn from somebody about reharmonization. You need to learn from yourself sometimes on that. Learn from your own ear. Learn to trust yourself. Learn to correct your mistakes, I think. Sorry if that's too vague. I believe that, though. Why do I only hear the internal harmony and chord changes, but I can't put them into practice? I mean, I feel the mood, but I can't put it into theory. Feeling the mood is so much more important than the theory, Diana. I don't know what practice you mean. Do you mean, like, if you understand how a 2-5-1 feels, but you can't... No, I don't understand that question. I'm sorry. You got to explain a little more. I hope I get to it. Can I play Just Friends because you have to play it for an audition on Wednesday? Gabriel Merrick. No, Gabriel, if you got an audition, you got to listen to somebody better than me play Just Friends. Get out there and listen to very, very good people play Just Friends. I would recommend Chet Baker. Very melodic solo. If you learn a few Chet Baker lines from Just Friends, you're going to nail that audition. Place them carefully. You don't want people to think you're stealing, but you are stealing. Yeah, Cheryl, that's right. Play like you love music. Good point. Okay. I think I got to a lot of people. Martin wants to know how my trip to Yosemite was. I haven't been to Yosemite in a really long time. I did watch that movie. What's it called? Solo? Of what's the guy's name? Alex? Somebody who climbed El Capitan. Oh my gosh, if that movie's in theaters near you guys, you gotta go see that. That was amazing. But the whole video, you're just like this. Like the whole video. Because he's free climbing thousands of feet. Insane. Okay, maybe last question. Eddie Mendoza wants to know why I'm not a college professor. I've actually turned down, I mean, I don't have a PhD, but I have turned down teaching position offers because it's not my deal. That's not where I want to be. I don't see myself doing that. Never say never, I guess, but I more like to perform and create. So I know that as a professor you can get really jaded and bogged down, and oh my gosh, they've got so many meetings and paperwork to do, and then they have to be put at the head of a committee for a whole year, and I would die. I can't do that kind of a thing. Yeah. Oh, I did see the Quincy doc on Netflix, straight out of Alderian. Good question. Yeah, I did see the Quincy documentary. I recommend that highly. I need to go watch the whole thing again. I got so much out of that. Best thing I thought he said was, I think he was recording, I can't remember for who now. Maybe Michael Jackson. It was like in the 80s. And he told somebody they've got to leave space for God to walk in the room. I loved that. Like you've always got to remember that there's something beyond yourself that could happen. So you got to leave room. I thought that was really cool. Oh, thanks for saying I'm a natural teacher, Andrew. That's nice. I do think I can, I think I can put myself in other people's spots, which is important for a teacher. So I like to try to imagine what you might be feeling and how I might get you out of that spot. So I do enjoy that. I just think, yeah, if I was at a college, I think I would die with all the bureaucracy and everything. You guys are great. Thank you for being here. I'll have another video for you on Tuesday, I think, as long as everything goes as it should. And I appreciate you. And thanks so much. Thanks too for the super chats and donations for my album recently. They're helpful. I'm writing again for Woodwind Sextet. Just a little something for you guys, like a little tidbit. 2 alto flutes, 2 clarinets, 2 bass clarinets this time for the next song I'm going to record for my album soon. But it won't be released as a single, so you won't get to hear it for quite a while. Anyway, gosh, the donations help. And all of your support all the time helps, and your sharing my videos too is really helpful. If any of you, are on Reddit, that's a super fast way to help my channel to grow. I always appreciate when people share things on Reddit because it's a very intellectual community over there. And if you're not on the Reddit, subreddit like jazz or music theory, there's a lot of good discussion that happens over there. Thank you guys. Okay, I'll see you soon.